Swipe to the left, swipe to the right. The best wedding app brings your dreams to life.
The Best Wedding App.
Welcome to the Best Wedding App podcast.
Well, welcome to the Best Wedding App podcast. I'm your host, Charis White, and today we have an absolutely incredible guest joining us. Now, she's someone who's bringing a super fresh perspective to weddings in South Australia. She is the creative force behind the game-changing service that's making traditional guest books a thing of the past. Abbey is the creator of her business, Time for Chats. Now, Time for Chats is redefining the way we capture the essence of weddings. So no more forgotten guest books or written guest books collecting dust that just say, sweet, have a lovely married life. Abbey attends your event. She chats with you. She makes people laugh. She chats about all of these crazy things. And then you have this edited video that you can cherish forever. Now, obviously, when you read it back or watch it back, not read it back, you'll laugh and you'll cry and you'll relive all of these amazing moments. Now, Abbey has, an amazing sort of history behind her. She's an accomplished broadcast journalist with over 7 years experience in Australian radio. Her passion for storytelling started at a very early age, even dancing to the Channel 9 News theme song as a toddler. She was destined for this. Today, she can be heard on Nova 919, delivering the news and traffic updates as part of the Jodie and Hayesy breakfast show. So welcome, Abbey.
Thank you so much for having me. This is definitely new. I'm usually the one asking the questions, so this is new for me.
I love this. Now, I must tell you that because I'm a singer first, I love a jingle, and I wrote the Best Wedding App jingle. And this morning when I was in the shower, I was like, oh my God, I've got the best jingle for Abbey. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Wrap yourself in. Ready?
Yeah.
Abbey from the newsroom. Abbey from the newsroom. It's time to chat. Chat.
I love it. Are you copywriting that? Because I might have to steal it.
Do you like my chat at the end?
Oh,
Good.
that's
so
the best.
Good. I'm sure you can get someone at Nova to make that sound a bit better.
I'll go and speak to the guys upstairs who did my ad for me. So we'll see if we can chuck that in there
Can we
too.
stitch this in? I love it. Now, tell us, so what inspired you to start Time for Chats? Because it's pretty cool. It's a pretty new concept.
It really is. So there's a few people across Australia, less than a handful that sort of are doing something similar. But I guess for me, I'd sort of been sitting on the idea for probably about a year. And then a friend of mine said, I reckon I've seen something similar happening in Newcastle. And Tommy, I think it's Kasha, if he's listening, sorry. He had started wedding chats in Newcastle. And, as soon as you see someone else doing an idea, you're like, oh, okay, well, I can't do that. And then I thought, you're in Adelaide, you're nowhere near him, you're going to bring something different to the table. And obviously, I've been in broadcast journalism and I've been on radio for 7 years. I'm a writer as well. And I thought, you know what, just start it and just see what happens. It is a really new concept. No one else is doing it in Adelaide that I know of yet. So it has been a little bit difficult to kind of, tell people what it is. But yeah, that's how it sort of all started. I just went, you know what, let's just do a wedding and see what people think. And the feedback was really great. So here we are.
It's awesome. And it's super fun. And, you do capture a different perspective because you've got great things to talk about with people and a great personality. So it brings people out of their shells.
Yeah, I think I get it a lot where people say, oh, God, you're really easy to talk to. And that can be in, you're sitting at an event or you're at a party or, whatever. I have 3-hour coffee dates with my 94-year-old Nana because we just can talk the whole time. So, I think for whatever reason, that's my superpower in this lifetime, is to be able to get people to open up and chat, which obviously makes Time for Chats really good because, you can have people walk up and they're scared. They see a microphone and they go, oh, God, what's she going to ask me? Or they think they've got to come up with it themselves. And when they sort of start to realize that we're literally just standing here having a chat, yes, it's being recorded, they open up and they start to delve into their life and how they know the person and things like that. So yeah, I guess I'm using that side of my skills. Yeah.
And how do you do the recording, Abby? Do you have like a tripod that you record that you?
Yeah, so I've just started off small business owners. This is one for anyone running a small business. Is you first start and you kind of outlay a little bit of money, and it'd be nice to have the best of the tech when you first start out. But unfortunately, that's not always available. But what I'm doing at the moment is I'm recording it on my phone on a tripod, and then I've got also a microphone with a recorder connected to it. So eventually would obviously go and splurge the money on a DSLR camera and a wireless microphone, but just to start, just to see before, am I going to commit to this or not? Yeah, it's a phone and a microphone.
Yes, amazing. Now, I don't want people to be confused between an audio guest book and a video because it's very different. So sometimes at a wedding, people want sort of a different element to bring their guests out of their shell, whether it's a wedding day painter or a magician or etc. That's what Abbey is. She will bring your guests together. So for example, let's say you have a wedding where there's 50 international guests and 30 guests who aren't international, and there's a crossover that's going to be a bit awkward because these people don't know these people. That's where Abbey will be a genius quality to add to your wedding, because she will be able to sort of intermix. She might interview Joan, who says something about something, and then she'll go to Marcus and say, hey, you blah, blah, blah. And then before you know it, those two people are talking. So a real sort of invaluable thing to add to your wedding. And, sometimes people feel a bit stifled with like, okay, that cocktail hour or whatever, do we need something extra? Yes. If you have the budget, absolutely. That's where Abbey can bring something super cool and super different. Now, how do people find you?
So I have got a website. It's timeforchats.com. I've also got all the social media pages. So you've got Instagram, you've got Facebook, you've got TikTok as well, because all the cool kids are on TikTok apparently. So yeah, and it's all just Time for Chats. So if you type in that, you'll see. On the website, I have just started putting all of the full videos. So, people are going onto the Instagram page and the Facebook page, and they're seeing these like 30-second reels. That's great. But if you're a wedding couple or you're somebody who's hosting a function and you go, well, what are we actually paying for here? You can go onto the website and you can have a look at some of the longer videos, and they range anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes. So it just depends on how many guests, how big the function is and what the function is. And your guests, I think, at any function to start off with, they're a bit rigid. Oh God, what is this? What do I have to talk about? But once obviously people sort of, go over and speak to her. Yeah, she asked you all the questions, and they open to the idea a little bit more. They like to get a bit more chatty.
Now, what do you do in terms of meetings with couples? Like, how do you have a questionnaire? Like, do you get to know them so that you can then formulate the questions that you're going to ask people, or do you just fly by the seat of your pants?
So to start with, very much so fly by the seat of the pants. And I blame that, I think, on being in radio. You see something and it's, for example, something in today's news was that the king has cancer. You see something and it's like, the king's got cancer, quick, we've got to get on and talk about it. So I've always been, I can be quite a fly by the seat of my pants person. But with this, I am implementing now to have I guess, pre-meetings with couples or with the organizer. And that's essentially a questionnaire and me just talking to them about, where are you getting married? What time are you thinking for me to come? How many guests are you going to have? Who's your MC? Who's your celebrant? All of that, just so I can touch base with the MC especially and give them a bit of a rundown as to what Time for Chats is. As we've spoken about, nobody else is doing this in Adelaide at the moment. So if you've got an MC, I had one at one wedding who went, I know what you are, all good. And then when it came to it, he goes, oh, they're doing some footage over there. And so people are like, what? So it's about being organised and about making sure that everybody's across what they're doing. But also I think as well, getting the couple excited. Like, we've booked this. This is a new concept. No one else is doing this. None of our friends will have this. So you want them to be really excited and you want them to be telling their guests, oh my God, we've got Time for Chats. Oh, Abby's great. This is what she'll be doing. So to start with, it's an email or a phone call message, whatever, to myself. I then set a time for us to talk. usually a quick phone call, get some details, and then we book in a time to sit and chat, and all the finer details, anything they want to ask me, and then it's essentially ready for the event.
And how long do you normally attend an event for?
It can be, it depends once again how many guests are there. Usually, though, it's about 3 hours. So the ones that I have done, I did about 10 events last year. I launched it in June, and from June to December, I had about 10 events booked in.
It's
So
amazing.
which was good. Yeah, good for the first 6 months. So essentially all of that, on average, it's been about 3 hours. I usually like to try and get everyone possible. Obviously, there's some people who they see a microphone, they freak out, they don't want to be involved, and that's completely fine. I also think that's a good thing, though, because when they look back at some of the reels and some of the videos, they go, oh my God, I should have done this. So then if you see them again, Adelaide's a very small place. If you see them again at an event or at another wedding, they're going to be the ones who are like, oh, yep, I'm coming over. So
I was only laughing because I was like, I see a microphone and I write a jingle for you.
People like us are a little bit different in that sense, I think.
No, I also think it's super important for people to know that if they're hiring Abbey and she comes to your wedding for 3 hours, the buck doesn't stop there, people. She then has to go home and she has to edit those 3 hours of footage, which is also time consuming. And so I think part of my role from Celebrancy into the Best Wedding app is educating couples on what's the behind the scenes of your process, which could be massive. It could take hours. A 3-hour cut of a video could take you 20 to edit. It's not like you're sitting there for 3 hours and that's what that's just going to take you that time, because you have to segment it, put it together. So can you talk us through that?
Yep. So essentially, I once again learning on the fly, putting new processes in place. But the process from now is for me I usually get home, I edit up almost like a bit of a sneak peek reel for the couple, so that I can reflect pretty much the next day. Here's a bit of a sneak peek of what a few people were saying, because it just hooks them a little bit to go, oh my God, we've got this coming, how special is this? And people as well on the night, they're asking, what's your Instagram page, where are we going to see the videos, that type of thing. So I do like to get a sneak peek up sort of within 24 hours of the event. But then after that, it's the Monday after is sitting down and editing. So it could be anywhere between 4 to 5 hours to do that first big edit, because essentially I could put all the footage in as one and go, whatever's there is what you're getting. But you need to top and tail it. You need to cut off the stuff around in the start, and then sometimes you're standing there chatting to people after you've finished recording, but obviously the vision's still going or whatever. So I top and tail and do all of that. Look, it could be anywhere between 4 to 5 hours for a 3-hour event. And then I do that and do the big long video that gets sent off to the couple. And then after that, I need to cut reels for social media, which is my marketing strategy as well, because people need to see what they're getting. So that then could take, one reel might be only 20 minutes or so, but if you're cutting 5, 6, 7, 8 from an event, it adds up. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, hasn't social media added such a beautiful element to all of our businesses? Not.
Yeah. It's a bit of a catch-22 sometimes.
Oh God, it sure is. It would be so much easier if we just had a website to begin with.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, when you're interacting with people, you have funny moments, you have sad moments, you have beautiful moments. What stands out? What's your most memorable conversation with someone?
So the most memorable for me was a wedding I did last year. They're family friends, and Hamish and Jean were getting married, and they had their grandfather, one of their grandfathers there. And he'd sort of been told, you have to come over and do this. You have to come over and do this. And he's sort of, I don't want to do it, but he was about to go home and he came over. And we got chatting, and I said, what's it been like seeing Jean and Hamish get married? And he ended up crying, and he said, this is the first wedding that I've ever cried at. And of course, the waterworks just started, and I'm bawling my eyes out. And I said, can I have a hug? And he hugged me. And I thought, if I hadn't have been there, you wouldn't have captured that. you wouldn't have got
Mm.
that footage. And so yeah, that's probably been the most memorable. And I think I drove home that night. I had about a 45-minute drive home, and I drove home that night going, you've started something really special here, and you need to back yourself. This is going to change people's lives, in the sense of, you've got that footage, you know, once he passes, they've got that footage forever.
I was just going to
So
say, I'm a funeral celebrant too. And let me tell you, some
yeah.
of the most moving moments at a funeral are when people, you know, throw to camera and have a little
Mm,
snippet, a video snippet of someone talking that's
yeah.
passed away. It's very, very, very beautiful.
I remember my mum, when we've lost our nana, or she's lost both her parents now, and she said to
I'm
me,
sorry.
this comment stuck in my head, sticks in my head all the time. She said, the first thing I think you lose when you lose someone is the sound of their voice.
Mm.
And it stopped, and it made me realize and go, yeah, I've lost a boyfriend back when I was 16, my first boyfriend. And I feel like I remember him, what he looks like, but I don't
Mm.
remember his voice. So yeah, that I think is really special, to be able to capture their voice and them on camera. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Now, what about your funniest moment?
Funniest, probably sitting down and talking with my 94-year-old grandma. So we had her birthday,
Oh,
and
beautiful.
she's my last nana alive. So we're very close, and
Oh.
get to go out and do lots of stuff together, go out and have coffees. But we were sitting there, and I was asking her, essentially, you know, what's the secret to a long, happy life, and things like that. And she's talking about, you know, health, but like, you've got to eat chocolate, and you've got to like champagne, and things like that. And it was just a real, like, someone's giving you a big bear hug, and a real sort of, you know, butterfly moment in your tummy, of like, I get to sit here and talk to my nana at the other end of her life, about all the funny things that she's done, and the things that she's most proud of, and all of our family as well. So that's definitely one for the books.
Oh, beautiful. What happens when you encounter a guest who like freezes? How do you get them out of their shell?
Yeah.
Are you like,
So
what color undies are you wearing?
we had our end of year gym party, and there was a gentleman there who, I swear, I've never heard him say more than 2 words in the gym. And he was a little bit, didn't really want to give me too much, so I'm sort of doing all the talking. But to be honest, that's when I usually turn to give them a compliment. So I think I said to him something about, God, you lift like so heavy in the gym. Like, how do you do that? You deadlift so heavy. And he was like, oh my God, no, I don't. And that
You're
kind of
so
kicked
good.
off. That kind of kicked off the conversation. I find as well, there was a few women at a wedding, who were really nervous, didn't want to, you know, oh, I don't want to do this. And I basically started with one, and I said, oh, a moment for the dress. God, you look gorgeous. And she just relaxed, and she just, oh my God, thank you so much. You look beautiful too, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it just kicked off the conversation. So
And
yeah,
then
it
you have the
can.
girl that you said, your tits look so pretty.
That was my sister. That was my sister. She's going, I need to stop being in events that you do time for chats at.
Oh
Yes,
my
that was
God,
very
I
funny.
loved it. I laughed so
Um,
good.
but I guess as well, and one of your questions, sorry if I'm jumping forward, one of your questions was, how do you keep it professional, but also having a bit of a laugh? And I think you've just got to, I guess that's what being a journalist is as well, is being able to sort of pick, like, oh yeah, this person's going to be fun and funny, or I need to rein it in here because we're speaking to the mother of the bride or whatever. So yeah, so I think, just if they're also as well, they're there for a reason. So obviously, if they don't want to have the banter, that's completely fine. Just leave me, you know, if I'm asking 2 questions and they give me 1 word answers, okay, that's fine. What's your message for the couple on their happy day? Because that gets them talking about the people that they know, you know, what they know,
Yeah.
what they're there for, and you know, sometimes does get a little bit of emotion from them as well. So yeah, it's just being able to read people, I think.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes it's oh so hard to read a room. Like
Yeah.
even for weddings, when I'm a celebrant and I walk in and there was 150 people and they're all seated, until you start that ceremony story, you never know how people are going to vibe with it. Sometimes
Yeah.
they'll laugh and really be into it, and sometimes they'll sit there and be deadpan. So I
Yeah.
imagine for you interacting with that, being on
Yeah.
the other end of that, like you really would have to come up with things quickly, which is where your
Yeah.
job would be amazing at helping you.
Yeah, I think it helps as well when I've had a few people say, "Oh, we'll book you from, as soon as the ceremony's finished." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'll get there about like 4:30. Just give people an opportunity to have a few drinks." And I think that helps as well. It sort of relaxes people a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Now, obviously, sometimes people, prior to this conversation might not know exactly what you are. Like, what advice do you give people when they contact you and say, look, we're considering you? Like, what do you say? Do you talk them through exactly what we're going through now, or do you just tell them how, tell them the story about the beautiful old man and how you can create lifelong memories?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely have had a little bit of advice probably in the last month or so about being a little bit more, you have to involve the emotion a little bit when it comes to selling something like this. And it's got to be, these are memories that you're not going to be able to capture because your videographer obviously has a role to play, but they don't get these individual interviews and moments with your guests.
Hmm.
So definitely when people book in, I've got a booklet that I send them, which has got, here's a bit about me. And I like to tell them my background so they know that I'm not just some random person rocking up and sticking a microphone in people's faces. I tell them a little bit about me, but I also then send them the event video page on my website and say, take a look at some of the weddings that I've done. This is what it looks like. But definitely Grandpa Crying is a video that's been sent to a few people just to show, these are some of the really beautiful moments that we can capture. Because as much as it's fun, I'm not just there to get the fun parts. I'm there to get the emotion. I'm there to get the advice that you can, in 20 years' time on your wedding anniversary, sit down and go, oh my God, remember when they said, make it fun every day? Have we done that? Do we need to be having more fun? Whatever. So, yeah,
I'm
it's
only
about
laughing as I think about my children this morning. And I was like, why does every day have to start like this? I definitely wasn't having fun.
There was one person who said at the last wedding I did, don't have children, they suck the soul out of you. And I'm like, oh, this is gold. But any advice is good advice, I say sometimes. So yeah, it's not just capturing the fun and the vibe, because I sort of do a bit of a few vibe checks during the night. How's everyone feeling and going? But yeah, capturing those moments that they won't be able to get captured through other forms of providers like videographer and things like that.
Now, obviously, being a new business, not nobody else in your area, etc. I know of Mr. and Mrs. Social over in Melbourne.
Yeah.
We're on the app. And apart from that, I don't know of anybody. Have you faced any challenges with wedding suppliers in the industry going at weddings? Has it been difficult, or do you just preempt or stop that conversation from happening because you contact them before and you say, this is who I am, this is what I do, etc.?
Yeah, definitely. I haven't had one person turn around and say, oh, this is a crap idea, or, whatever. I haven't had any pushback or anything. I very much a person, and people laugh, I get really nervous and I don't have a lot of self-confidence, which is when you look at my job, you go, oh, how ridiculous. So I think for me, the first 6 months, I've been just, oh, there's some chick over there with a camera and a microphone. Don't really know what she's doing, but, we'll just let her go, sort of thing, from other suppliers. So now I'm really getting on the front foot, and that's why I'm saying to the couples, who are your providers and who are the other suppliers who are going to be there, because I want to be able to tag them in social media posts, like, we're here at Jen and Hamish's wedding, and it's Good Loving Photography and whoever else and all of that. So yeah, haven't had any pushback yet. Most people are pretty good. A lot of them providing feedback or sharing posts or things like that, which has been fantastic. But my advice to anyone starting anything new is to get on the front foot and speak to people beforehand. For me, the MC, sending a message, hi, how you going, this is what I do, throughout the night. If you can get on the microphone and call people over, that would be great. So yeah, no pushback yet. I'm sure someone else will decide what a great idea and do something similar in Adelaide, and I welcome that. I think competition is good because no one's going to do it like you do it. And I guess I get to have the Adelaide's first live video guest book tagline, which I love. So
I would, for sure. And you should have all the self-confidence in the world, because you are so talented and so beautiful. And I think as women, It's really interesting how we have that narrative, right?
Mm,
I did a wedding on the weekend, and this gorgeous auntie was wearing a Zimmerman dress, which I freaking love Zimmerman.
love.
I can't
Yeah.
afford. And I said, "Whoa, is this a Zimmerman?" And she's like, "Oh yes, but don't look at me like I feel hideous." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Hold on." She goes, "I actually didn't buy it. I rented it, and it's too short." And I was like, "Okay, let's just roll back a minute." And like, I do not know this woman at all, but I was like,
Hmm.
"You look amazing. You know, you've got legs for days." And she sort of said, like, I'm a 53-year-old middle-aged woman. Like, I didn't know if I should wear this dress, and I felt a bit silly. And I was like, why can't we just say, like, why can't we just own it?
Thank you.
You know, like, and you like, I've obviously when you've signed up to the app, etc., and I've been following your journey, like, I just think your story is beautiful. And I wish nothing but beautifulness for you in your life, because you
Oh,
radiate such a gorgeous vibe, and
thank
you
you.
should have all the confidence in the world, because you look at what you do. It's amazing. Now,
I think I'm getting better. I was petrified. Everyone used to say, "Why don't you do TV?" And I used to go, "Oh God, I couldn't be on TV." And now I'm running a business where I'm on camera. So yeah, we're getting there.
totally, for
Baby
sure.
steps.
Now, I think because we're talking weddings, people probably assume that Time for Chats is just for weddings, but you're not. You will
Yeah.
go wherever
No.
you go. Birthdays, bar
I've
mitzvahs. What will you do? Everything. You'll do everything.
any event where there's
And
people, I'll be there. So in the first 6 months, we had a fashion launch of a fashion label in South Australia. We went to birthdays, we went to weddings. I did an end of year gym party. It's been everything. We did a charity event here at Nova Entertainment where people cut their hair off for
oh
charity.
wow,
And so
amazing.
I said to one of the bosses, "Do you mind if I do this?" And they went, "Oh yeah, go for it." So yeah, we've done heaps of different things. This year we'll be doing aligning with a few charities and going to some gala dinners. So that would be really good. And I've also just made contact with a wedding expo here in Adelaide, which is going to be held on July 21st. And essentially, I'll be an exhibitor at the expo, but then I'll also be up on stage doing Time for Chats live.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, so I mean, essentially, it could be anything. I mean, we've got the Adelaide Fringe coming up. There's so many events in Adelaide that we're party capital at the moment. So it could be anything. It could literally be anything. If you've got an end of year party, if you've got a wedding, if you've got a birthday, it literally could be anything that I can come along to. A bar opening, a baby shower, baby
And
birth,
to a
maybe not that.
vaccine. Yeah. A birth. And how are you feeling? Having said
But
that,
yeah,
as I laugh, on a serious note with that, my husband said to me, "Do you want me to record you having a contraction?" And I was like, "Hell no." But then I actually, after birthed this child, I was like, "Oh God, like, maybe," because it was so freaking painful. It's something I'm never going to repeat again. I was like,
mhm,
that moment is gone. And I think that's what couples need to understand, is that if you choose not to have these things at your wedding, that moment is gone. Those people are never going to be gathered in a room together again. It's all, it's your one chance.
yeah.
And I think, as we've stated before, in life, there is no certainty for things. And if you can create beautiful moments with all of your favorite people and have snippets of them, you might just change someone's life, because maybe Auntie Joan passes away 6 months later, and that is something to cherish for that family. It actually is a gift, an incredible gift.
Oh, definitely. And I think we forget, a lot of people say as well that your wedding day, I'm not married. If there's anyone single looking for love, then get in contact.
We'll put our
But
Instagram handle up.
I'm not married, but I do hear, from friends and from a lot of the couples of how quickly the day goes. And you're so worried about doing all of the things, and okay, we've got a run sheet to go by, and okay, tick that off. Oh, first dance, all right, yep, now we can party. Oh, it's all over. So I think to be able to have something like this, obviously your photos and your video from your videographer capture the day, but to be able to see what people are actually thinking and saying in real time is also a pretty special moment. And I try to say to people that, you know, it's sort of like an extension of your video, of your photography. It's just capturing the mood and the feel and the vibe of the day, which, you know, I think for most people, they want to sit back in 20 years time and still be able to feel that.
That's right. And very different to content creation in that that's just a video. Those are just snippets of photos of the day. You know, Abbey is creating the emotion of the day, really, with those people, which is very different. Now, being a trend setter in the wedding industry, which is what you are, have you seen any new trends, anything that you think is on the horizon that's coming in that you think is cool, apart from you?
Definitely just me. Anything to do with live video guest books, just me. I am actually noticing a lot of people are really going back to basics, which I sort of love. I think you can get so wound up in going, oh my God, we have to have absolutely everything, or everything's got to be the best of the best. Some of the best weddings I've been to are the real rustic weddings, and I love, me personally, I love that look. I guess trends, I was looking at these the other day for 2024. It is that content creation. There's so many people doing it so well in not only Adelaide but across Australia, obviously, of having someone come and capture your wedding and turning it around, obviously a lot quicker than the traditional means of photography and videography. So I do like, the rustic, and we're going back to basics. I think weddings as well, the average price of a wedding has come down despite cost of living. So I'm really liking that. I'm also, one thing I'm not liking, which I'm going to bring up, is I've seen a lot of posts on one of the wedding groups I'm in on Facebook about people not RSVPing.
What?
So to anyone, yes. So there's been brides who have posted, it's 2 weeks out from my wedding. I've sent all the RSVPs. I've tried to contact people. No one's, like, these people aren't getting back to me. And now the minimum for the venue is too low. And, you know, because most venues will say it's a minimum of, say, 50 people or 60 people or whatever. So if anyone's listening and you've got an RSVP for a wedding, go on RSVP right now. Yes, it's so rude. And I just think that's the one thing that I don't agree with. But yeah, the two things that I am loving in 2024 is definitely, back to basics and doing what you want to. I think so many people get so, oh, mum wants this, the mother-in-law wants this, my sister did this, so maybe I should do that. Do what you want to do, make it your day. Book time for chats, obviously. And also, the content creation side. I think, unfortunately, we are so connected to our phones and our attention spans are so short. So I think, these 30-second reels that capture the entire day, they do have a place, and they are sort of the trend coming through in 2024. But there's two good things, one bad thing.
Well, I get the content creation thing. I totally get it. I just wish we were all not so connected to our phones that we felt the need to have something so quick. You know, there's
quick,
yeah, it is interesting how our world has gone with technology, but I totally get it. Like, it's a fast-paced world. My husband's always talking about music and how everything is sped up now to sound like almost like the Chipmunks, because the kids' attention spans are so short that, you know, you couldn't have a George Michael song and captivate the kids' attention because it's, you know, long and drawn out. Verse.
Even in radio now, the songs are all like 1:30, maybe 2 minutes. So back in the day, a standard timing of a song was 3 minutes to 4 minutes sometimes. So now it's a lot shorter songs, which I never realized. And then I asked, I think I was living up in Brisbane at the time, and my content director said, oh, well, we can fit another song in, blah, blah, blah. And she explained to me, you know, the songs are all now, the artists are doing 1:30, 2-minute songs because, attention spans have gone down. We need to play ads, we need to have content and all the rest of it. So the song sizes are getting small, the song durations are getting smaller, which to me is just wild.
Totally wild. Well, it is. Do you have anything else, any other little tidbits about time for chats that you want to sort of sneak in before we end our beautiful conversation?
I guess for me, thinking about time for chats, like we've spoken about, it's all about the memories. It's all about creating lasting memories for people. So I am already, despite only just sort of launching it and getting it off the ground, I am thinking about what's sort of the next stage of Time for Chats. This is heavily inspired by obviously my beautiful Nana, who's 94, and we have such a family history story that's insane. It involves owning an elephant. We founded a suburb in Smithfield. Like, it's just mental. So basically, I want to start Time for Chats, but family history and create and capturing your family history story, essentially.
Beautiful.
So I'm in the process of sitting down with her and, like a Time for Chats, but obviously not at an event, researching family history and speaking to her in her own language, because she's 94, so she's starting to come out with some real pearlers of things that we didn't know. I found out that one of her brothers was actually an ABC cameraman back in the day.
Are you kidding?
And I'm going, Nana, and she's going, what? I said, well, I'm in the media. Like, why wouldn't you have told me this? So I think there's definitely a market there that we don't have. A lot of people write a book or do an autobiography, or they put notes, or they put in their genealogy stuff.
Or a lot of people don't do anything and don't have anything.
Yes,
and then I meet them, and then they go, and I say, and what happened in Margaret's life? And they go,
I've got no idea.
I've got no idea. Like, I asked my kids the other day, because I grew up in Canada, where did I go to school? And they went, I don't know. I was like, wow, like, you know, if something happened to me, they don't have that knowledge base of where I went to school, where I studied at uni, even what I studied at uni. You know, it's really important information for people to have down the track, for sure. So that sounds like it's an absolutely amazing, the geriatric version of Time for Chat.
Well, yeah, it pretty much is, to be honest. We've got our sister station here is 5AA, which is an AM station. So I was speaking about it with one of the announcers about sort of the next stage. And I said, he's going, oh, this is perfect for our listeners. And I thought, well, it doesn't even have to be someone who is, you know, 80, 90 years old. You could be in your 60s and just retired and go, you know what, it's time to get all of this off my chest about my life and growing up and what I've been through. Because I think almost it's a little bit healing as well when we actually talk about our stories and we share our stories. You don't realize, but it is cathartic almost. And I've seen that even with my mum. I moved back to Adelaide and I moved back in with them, trying to save for a house. And I'm getting to know my mum as a friend, not so much a mum, and getting to know things that she's been through in her life and the things that she's dealt with, and, you know, why her and I are very similar. So we've clashed a lot of our lives, but now we get along really well. So, you know, I'm looking forward to, I know she's made some notes, and I'd love to sit down with her and really talk to her about her story and the things that she's done, because there's still times she'll say, oh yeah, when I did this, and I'm like, I didn't know that. How did I not know that? So that's sort of the next stage. Time for Chat's geriatric version. Maybe that's the tagline.
And the podcast. Yeah, Jimmy in the studio to record the jingle for your.
Well, now I know that that's what you do. Then you're going
to do it. I studied music, so I was an opera singer before I did all of this. So I just sing random jingles to my kids around the house and make them up. And for some reason, yours popped into my head this morning. I love it. Well, listen, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us. And I just love everything about you. And I know your business will be a huge success. So people in Adelaide, book her. Do not hesitate, because
anywhere in Australia, if you just pay for my flights, I'll be there.
Yeah, we'll book her in Melbourne so we can see her down here. Abbey can be found on the Best Wedding app, and obviously her Instagram handles and her website, which we'll link in the show notes. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening. Friends, if you like what you've just heard, please like and share our podcast. We would absolutely love that. And of course, if you're planning your wedding, head to the Google Play Store or the App Store and download the Best Wedding app to plan your best day.